Yo, what's good, YouTube? My name is Dalen, and today we have another TierZoo video, the Jellyfish tier list. Jellyfish fields. We got this Jellyfish tier list, and obviously we know you finna check this shit out. I'm interested. I'm gonna just assume that he's gonna do all the animals in the universe. Maybe if we find out the type of animals are outside of this solar system, you know, in space and stuff, we'll probably do a tier list on them too if we learn more stuff, you know. But we're gonna check this out, so see what these jellyfish talking about. Damn, hold up, you buying that nigga? Pause.
This game has seen no shortage of balance patches, and like any other game, after a while some players have started complaining about power creep. Being able to breathe on dry land used to be an incredibly unique...
Jellyfish are definitely aliens, I'm not gonna lie. Those are definitely aliens.
It's basically par for the course with around half of the player base. Being able to see and respond to the actions of other players used to be an incredible advantage, one that literally invalidated a huge number of popular playstyles. The same could be said about warm-blooded respiration, pair bonding and offspring rearing, eusociality, and even flight. And yet, even after an uncountable number of game updates, balance patches, and expansion packs, one of the most consistent builds in the meta is the Jellyfish, a collection of ancient builds
I might be wrong about this, but when I was learning about biology, I'm just making sure I'm recording. When I was learning about biology in college, I think they said that jellyfish were like the first species, maybe, or maybe the first species to have like two holes or something like that, or one hole. I don't know. I learned something about them being like the first something.
As well as other Nadarian and jelly-like builds, have been able to stand the test of time.
Yeah, these are aliens.
We'll talk about the most notable
the aliens of the sea,
and place them all on the jellyfish tier list. But first, an overview of the history of the jellyfish build, plus a quick rundown of the typical stats and abilities they tend to have. Jellyfish have some of the strangest stat spreads in the entire game. The most obvious...
Oh, jellyfish? Yeah, he's literally jellyfish hunting. That's crazy. Power. Damn, everything pretty low. Intelligence low? Damn. I mean, I guess, well, technically jellyfish don't have a brain, right? So they can't really think. They just operate on instinct. Mobility. HP, really? HP. Why that? Why the HP so high? Stealth, okay, pretty high. Okay.
Quirk is that their
Let's see what
stats are basically zero. Jellyfish have no central nervous system,
talking about,
and so essentially all intelligence and perception-based abilities are completely locked on their skill tree. The lack of a brain means jellyfish have to play mostly on autopilot and rely on pre-programmed reflexes and instincts to steer them away from danger and towards food. But those aren't their only extremely weird stats. Jellyfish possess some incredible regenerative abilities and can recover from basically any damage, which is good because jellyfish have next to no defense at all. They're comprised of around 95% water.
Okay, so they could regenerate.
Is a simple jelly-like substance.
Wait, what is that? What is that whirlpool? You could do that? How do you do that? What? I didn't even realize the human on the ground. How do you do that?
And their outer layer is a simple jelly-like substance that offers very
and they got superpowers.
Luckily, because of the fact
maybe we're the
they're
aliens.
entirely composed of water, they blend in quite well.
I mean, technically, I guess we're all aliens to something, you know.
Many of them are nearly invisible.
We're all forward to something.
Translucent to some extent, which makes them extremely difficult to detect via eyesight. What most players know about jellyfish, though, is how absolutely cracked their damage stat is. The jellyfish's special ability, Nematocyst, allows for massive venom damage upon even the slightest contact with their tentacles. This isn't universal, as some jellyfish possess far more potent venom than others, a topic we'll cover extensively during the tier list portion of this video. But nonetheless, most competent players fear getting too close to any jellyfish because of their deadly reputation. Their stat spread may seem completely nonsensical until you realize what the meta was like when the jellyfish was first added to the game. I've covered quote-unquote ancient builds before on this channel, builds like the shark, scorpion, and centipede,
Yeah.
But jellyfish vastly predate all of them. Jellyfish were one of the first, if not the first, major faction of multicellular builds.
That might have been what I learned in biology class. That might have been what I learned. Maybe was it? It probably was. I'm gonna say it was.
Very little need for defenses and
they were the first something.
When there was very little to defend
so I'm guessing
from or to outsmart.
they're the first faction.
Filter feeding on plankton worked just fine. Some might
Plankton
does. Even though cephalopods, fish, and arthropods were added to the game.
Oh, and that boy moving kind of crazy. I see that.
After, jellyfish remained.
Wait, what? That's not no octopus. What is that? Why is he walking?
Even though cephalopods, fish, and arthropods were added to the game soon after, jellyfish remained extremely popular. So after 500 million years of balance patches and game
Squidward tentacles.
let's see which jellyfish builds come out on top.
Actually using his tentacles to walk.
At the bottom of the tier list, we've got the moon jelly, one of the most common jellyfish builds in the game, and yet one of the tier list. Let's see which jellyfish builds come out on top. At the bottom of the tier list, we've got the moon jelly,
Super
one
family.
of the most common jellyfish builds in the game, and yet one that doesn't really make use of the jellyfish build's more interesting abilities. Moon jellies have uniquely short tentacles which deal fairly minimal damage. This makes them much less of a threat than basically all other jellies. In addition to that, moon jellies are notably more nutritious than other jellyfish, making them common targets for any player that's able to survive their fairly minimal defenses. In fact, moon jellyfish are one of the only jellyfish which are actively preyed upon by other jellyfish, even when fully grown. The moon jelly's playstyle is entirely passive, relying on its quick respawn rate and strong matchup against plankton to make it worthwhile. Moon jellies are becoming a popular choice in the recent meta as they have a natural resistance to microplastic poisoning, negating one of the main challenges other marine players have had to learn to adapt to recently.
Interesting.
So it is a solid
so
starter
pollution
build for
doesn't
players
work
trying to
on
learn
them.
the ocean meta, but one that I think most competent players will quickly move on from.
Comb jellyfish.
Next in F tier we have the comb jelly. Comb jellies are some of the most unique jellyfish builds in the game. In fact, even calling them jellyfish is contentious as they are technically not part of the Nidarian faction. Nonetheless, they are gelatinous and have most of the same abilities as jellyfish, so I wanted to include them anyway. Their main difference is that comb jellies do not move by pulsing their bell, and instead swim by using rows of cilia. This offers a slightly greater degree of agility and control compared to your standard jellyfish build. Their tentacles are also slightly different, being lined with adhesive glue rather than venomous microbarbs. This is quite efficient at capturing small prey, but is completely useless on defense. And because they still
he ate
do
his
not
own
possess an
man.
advanced system, the fact that they have greater control over their movement via their cilia doesn't amount to that big of an advantage in practice. They still can't dodge predator attacks because they cannot dodge an attack that they don't know is coming. This build has a lot of
They just be eating themselves.
put a few more points into intelligence, but for now I'm still going to place them in F tier.
Sea nettle.
At the bottom of D tier we have the sea nettle. The sea nettle is essentially the most basic average jellyfish build in the game. It embodies every feature of the archetype,
I've seen them before.
yet excels at none of them and doesn't really have any additional unique abilities. The sea nettle has decent length tentacles that can inflict solid damage, potentially lethal to builds within its own weight class, but still not strong enough to really merit the extreme caution their reputation has impressed on the player base. With low medium size and the same nearly non-existent nervous system, sea nettles may be more well defended than the moon jelly, but with even the slightest bit of clever counterplay, they still fall apart immediately.
These are jellyfish? Really? Really? Corals or jellyfishes? Okay.
D tier we have the coral. You might be surprised to see coral on the jellyfish tier list, and indeed I am stretching the definition a little bit, but they are a part of the Nidarian faction, and are less different once you look more closely. Their early game is pretty much identical to the jellyfish, but rather than remaining free-floating, they settle onto rocks and surfaces along the seabed and attach to a single point, dropping their mobility stat to 0 for the remainder of their playthrough.
Okay, so they're like stationary jellyfish.
Ability, calcify, constructing an incredibly sturdy exoskeleton around themselves, and massively buffing.
Hey, calcify! Ain't that a moving Pokemon actually?
The coral will also clone itself, eventually granting the player control over an entire colony of coral, all to accomplish one thing: AFK experience farming. Once established, the hard part of their playthrough is over, and they can now filter feed for essentially as long as they like. So an easy build to play if you can make it past their vulnerable planktonic early game, although unfortunately the climate change balance patch seems to be a pretty harsh nerf to this playstyle. And at the top of D2 we have the other
coral. Portuguese man o' war. Okay.
And at the top of D tier, we have the other colonial Nidarian, the Manowar. This
The
build
Manowar?
sports medium damage, much higher than the Moon Jelly or Sea Nettle, but still not the instant death level venom that some of the higher tier jellyfish have.
Yeah,
Like other
took him.
jellyfish, it has low mobility and terrible defenses. But I would say that the Manowar is uniquely vulnerable to predation due to the fact that rather than having a bell to propel itself through the water, instead the Manowar has a balloon, making them very easy to detect and attack from above, where many seabirds hunt. In addition, any damage to the balloon could easily cause it to deflate, sending the Manowar straight to the depths for an instant game over, which negates the advantage most jellyfish have of being able to regenerate from minor to moderate damage. Lastly, the Manowar seems to be uniquely vulnerable to getting beached during severe storms, likely also due to their positioning on the surface of the water, where they get beaten around by the waves and the wind. Still, not something you want to be trading hits with if you're a fish.
Lion's mane
In
jellyfish.
C tier, we have the Lion's Mane. This is the largest jellyfish build in the game, sporting a massive HP stat and tentacles that can reach lengths of 120 feet, longer than the blue whale end to end. Giant as it may be, its power stat is still below average, as its venom still isn't really enough to take down anything much larger than a minnow. You would think a bigger jellyfish would go after bigger prey, but similar to the whale, it uses its large size to hit a larger area with its attacks, with the hope of getting frequent multi-kills. Its large size makes it very difficult to kill, simply by nature of it being able to literally survive half of itself being eaten.
Really? It's hard to kill? I mean, what if a shark came and ate it? Like, is he talking specifically in terms of like other small fish or something?
There isn't much out there that would need to eat more than half. Still, with its stings being fairly weak, they aren't really threatening enough to merit placement in the higher tiers.
I'm assuming he's just talking about
we have the anemone. Similar
the
to
fish
coral,
versus the
anemones
jellyfish.
Are closely related to jellyfish,
like
but
small
opt for a
fish.
sedentary playstyle rather than a free roaming one. Unlike coral, though, anemones protect themselves using powerful venomous stingers rather than a hard calcified exoskeleton. Rather than filter feeding on plankton like corals do, they also use this venom to catch and kill prey. Many of them possess extremely powerful venom, enough to cause organ failure even in larger builds like humans. Now, normally being completely immobile is a huge vulnerability. However, the reason I rank anemone being completely immobile is a huge vulnerability.
Wait, what is that?
Humans.
Somebody in comments tell me what this is. This is a sea slug? What is this? Why did you stick his head in there?
However, the reason I rank anemones so high in spite of this weakness is that anemones are some of the best team combo builds in the entire game, forming excellent team comps with both clownfish and crabs. In the case of the clownfish, the anemone and the clownfish cover each other's weaknesses, deterring the predators that the other is vulnerable to. Similar to jellyfish, anemones are vulnerable to sea turtles, as they are resistant to their venom. Clownfish valiantly fight for their teammate, even against those sea turtles which are gargantuan by comparison. And in return, predatory fish that would love to score an easy kill on a small, vulnerable fish need to tank a mouthful of nematocysts to even have a chance at attacking a clownfish. And in the crab's case, rather than fighting off turtles, the crab will actually attach the anemone to itself, gaining venom damage on its own attacks in exchange for granting the anemone its mobility back. So, while probably only low to mid-tier on its own, the combo potential of this build makes it an optimal choice in many scenarios and bumps it up.
Where's my son?
And finally, jumping all the way up to S tier, we have the box jelly. When it comes to overpowered venom, there is quite literally not a single character in the game that has the box jelly beat. Its neurotoxic venom is extremely deadly, rapidly paralyzing the victim, leading to suffocation.
You gotta like that.
Arrest. In addition to having the highest damage of any jellyfish, box jellies also have
I wonder how jellyfish tastes.
While many jellyfish
is it easy to cook jellyfish?
Translucent
I wonder.
like red and blue, box jellyfish are almost completely
or do nobody eat jellyfish?
Close to invisible as possible.
It's too poisonous.
In addition, because they sport fewer tentacles and therefore experience less hydrodynamic drag, and because of their unique bell shape which allows them to jet through the water, box jellyfish have the highest mobility stat of any jelly. This makes them incredibly difficult to detect and avoid as they zoom through coastal waters, leading many players to simply avoid the territory entirely rather than risk
jellyfish
the hallmark of a high tier.
The land of the jelly.
And as if all of that wasn't cracked enough,
I see SpongeBob and Patrick.
They're the only jellyfish which have eyes, allowing them to detect danger and avoid obstacles. This enables them to thrive in less open areas where prey like to hide, such as kelp forests or mangrove swamps. Coupled with their higher mobility stat, this actually enables the box jellyfish to actively pursue prey, rather than simply drifting with the current and hoping to catch something. With the exception of tankiness and tentacle attack range, box jellyfish are strictly superior to all other jellies.
The king jelly from SpongeBob.
I also wanted to highlight a unique member of the box jelly faction, the Irukandji. The Irukandji is a dwarf variant of the box jelly, maxing out at only an inch or two long, yet also sports the same incredibly potent toxin and all the other special traits that the box jelly possesses, plus one additional trait, bell stingers. Most jellyfish have a pretty massive weak point, their bell. It can be attacked safely without the risk of being stung, so long as the attacker avoids the tentacles. The Irukandji simply does not have this weakness, as every millimeter of its surface is covered in the same deadly stingers. As a result, even accidentally bumping into the Irukandji can result in an instant game over, which has a lot of players worried given how much more popular this build has become lately. This is obviously a result even as every millimeter of its surface is covered in the same deadly stingers. As a result, even accidentally bumping into the Irukandji can result in an instant game over, which has a lot of players worried given how much more popular this build has become lately. This is obviously a super risky playstyle.
Does he mean like any creature or just like sea creatures? Like in terms of like, if you bump into them, like it's instantly game over for them?
So they need to play extremely carefully, and can't take advantage of the obstacle-heavy environments that so they need to play extremely carefully. Into an obstacle is damage HP stat of any build I've ever covered on this channel. Even just swim kanji.
Damn! They have, oh my gosh. They're like a glass, not a glass cannon, a glass. Well, okay, is this power actually accurate? Like, can they do enough damage to humans? Is this accurate? I don't know how accurate this is. Maybe it's the other sea creatures, but the humans? There's no way, right? This is just sea creature to sea creature, right? I don't know. Somebody gotta let me know in the comments. But damn, bro. It's either they're a glass or a glass cannon.
Itself has the lowest HP stat of any build I've ever covered on this channel. Even just swimming into an obstacle is damaging enough to kill an Irukandji, so they need to play extremely carefully.
That's so crazy. I'm trying to think of like what else like acts like that.
And can't take advantage
bro, just constantly living on 1 HP.
So that's the jellyfish tier list. Generally, I rate most of them low to mid tier, with the exception of the truly formidable outlier of the box jelly.
That shit crazy.
Before we wrap up, I do want to cover some counterplay options.
Bro was born of hardcore mode.
Times in the video, but sea turtles have a flat-out unlosable match.
Imagine being born and playing, and you're instantly playing on hardcore mode. Bro, I cannot talk, y'all.
But another lesser known, but even
you know, imagine just waking up and you're instantly playing on hardcore mode.
They can actually absorb the stingers and
that would be kind of crazy.
Their own defensive weapons, basically giving them all the deadly benefits of the jellyfish without the drawback of being basically brainless. I expect both will safely attack and against jellyfish. I mentioned it a few times in the video, but sea turtles have a flat-out unlosable matchup against jellyfish, being completely immune to their venom, and so they are able to safely attack and digest them. But another lesser known but even more effective counter to jellyfish is the sea slug. Not only are they immune to the venom, but they can actually absorb the stingers and convert them into their own defensive weapons, basically giving them all the deadly benefits of the jellyfish without the drawback of being basically brainless. I expect both of these builds to become a lot more popular as jellyfish numbers continue to increase. So if you're looking to score some easy wins, I recommend learning the strategies of both of these excellent builds. I hope to do a sea slug video soon, so be on the lookout for that, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it when it drops. And speaking of not missing important video releases, I'd like to remind all my viewers that the best way to watch my content is with Nebula, the sponsor of this video. It's best for you
is he already already like working on it? The sea slug video?
So when it drops. And speaking of not missing important video releases, I'd like to remind
I don't know if he's working already or he already made it.
The sponsor of this video. It's
a W video from TierZoo. As always, learning something new, learning the different tiers, how strong they are compared to other animals, to their own species. You know, seeing what they eat and stuff. Yeah, W video. Anyways, that is it. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a like on this video, subscribe for more content, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Also, let me know in the comments about like the questions I asked. Like, is that specific jellyfish like glass cannon, or I'm trying to figure out another name, like glass, I guess. I thought I could have came up with something better with that. Or like, was that creature I saw a sea slug or something? I think it was, because it looked kind of similar to the one I saw at the end. The one that got his head took by the what is it called again? The Anemo? What is it called? I don't know. Coral? Something. But anyways, that is it. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your day. Peace.